Hustle, Thrills, and Spills of Entrepreneurship. It is your girl, Coach K, and I am back with another dope session. Listen, before I get started, if you have not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, baby. Make sure you are favorited if you are listening audio-wise on your favorite streaming platform. If y'all see me on screen, then you see I'm not by myself. So I'm going to allow my guest the honor of introducing herself. What's good, baby? What's good?
Hey Kisha, hey listeners. I am Coach Diamond Drip, and I'm just really excited to be here with you today. I get the pleasure of helping people understand their unique energetic blueprint and how that helps to inform their business so that they can figure out what works for them and not just what somebody told them was going to work for them. Have wonderful joy and privilege, and I use these tools in my personal and professional life, in my relationships. So it's something that I live, breathe, eat, sleep, and I am happy to share it here today.
Yeah, and I'm going to let you get into all of that. So first of all, thank you so much for being here. I'm definitely wanting to hear more, learn more about our unique blueprints, because one thing I talk about is self-discovery, purpose, and actually teach that with my clients as well. So I'm super excited to have you here and let these full-time, part-time, visionary entrepreneurs hear more about how you are utilizing it and how they can utilize it as well. So share a little bit about your backstory with us, Diamond. Tell us a little bit more about what got you started, first off. And like I said, a little bit about the backstory and what got you where you are today.
Yeah, what got me here today is, as most entrepreneurs, I feel like it was a blend of what was happening in your professional life and what was happening in your personal life. So I feel like that's many of us. We come up with a solution for ourselves. We're like, hey,
I'm thinking.
fun.
Right.
I could share this. And so for the backstory, my mom was undiagnosed borderline personality disorder with narcissistic tendencies. And that forced me into a childhood where everything that went wrong was always my fault, no matter what I did. And I learned that story. I learned the story of having to, prove your worth outside of just being you in order to get attention, in order to get love, in order to get all of those things. And when I grew up into teenage years and started, naturally wanting my own relationships and etc., that caused a lot of friction between me and my mom, and I actually ended up being removed from her care due to child abuse and neglect when I was 15. And so when I was 14, because before I was removed, I had tried to kill myself, I was diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder. And I say that I was in denial for 10 years because I was like, this isn't, I know a lot of stuff is my fault, apparently, right, but I don't think this is, I think this is me. And so I was in denial for 10 years, and then it got to a point where I was facing a lot of irritability. And so that really made me kind of look more into the diagnosis to see what was going on. And so right around the time that I accepted my diagnosis, I went looking for a clinical trial. And so that clinical trial, it tested the efficacy of psilocybin, which is the active component in magic mushrooms, to actually treat treatment-resistant depression. And so they were like, how can this work? The cat is out of the bag on several podcasts. It did heal my depression, and I'm super grateful for that. The symptoms that I was having in terms of irritability and things from my diagnosis, they have subsided 10 times. I'm not on any medicine or anything like that. And so after the trial, during the trial, I learned that I was telling myself a lot of stories that they weren't serving me. They were stories that other people had told me about myself. And so I was in this process personally of unpacking stuff that wasn't mine and trying to figure out how I can become the best version of myself, because I saw a glimpse when I was in the psilocybin experience. And I was like, how can I be more like her? Because she was awesome.
Yeah, come on.
So that was personally. Professionally, at that point, I had been an entrepreneur for 4 years. 2 of those years, I had spent building a product-based business. And I had made a pivot after the trial into a service-based model because I realized that the advice, the knowledge, the insights that I had for people, that really lit me up more than the logos I was creating or the products from my first business. And so it was like, okay, how do I pivot into a service-based model? Naturally, imposter syndrome kicked in. And I was like, well, I don't know how to build a business anymore, apparently.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And I'm just shocked.
I just lost maybe I was just lucky that first business. I was just in the right place at the right time. And out of that fear that was driven by imposter syndrome, I ended up joining a year-long business coaching program because they said, come join this program. We'll teach you the proven strategies and the frameworks. We have people having 6-figure launches and 7-figure launches, and you just follow the framework and success is coming, right? We hear it all the time.
Yeah.
It did not. I did learn a lot during that program, but it did not pan out the way that I wanted it to. And what that showed me was that one size fits all doesn't work for everyone.
Period. Come on.
Period.
Come on.
And so I was in this space of like, okay, how do I figure out how to be the best version of myself? And how do I figure out once I know what that looks like, how do I figure out what are the solutions? What are the gifts that I'm here to share with the world through my business? What's my unique value proposition? And around that time that I was in that spot, now that we're here, someone asked me if I knew my energy type. And I was like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. No, I don't know what that is. They sent me a calculator. It's the same as the one on my site, except mine gives you a little bit more information, but name, date of birth, time of birth, and boom, you've got a blueprint and you've got your energetics. You don't really know necessarily what you're looking at. And the site that I used, they wanted to charge $50 for a report to help you understand these things that you're looking at. I was like, I'm not buying a report for something I know nothing about. Like, I need to see what this is first. So I went to YouTube University, and the very first thing that I searched, what does it mean to be a generator in human design? And it started talking about, it started describing me, because my whole life, despite my diagnosis, people would always say wherever I went, your energy is infectious. Your energy is contagious, right? Especially when we're wearing the mask,
Yeah.
To hide the depression, of course. And so it was one of those things where it was like, I felt like I was coming home to myself, because in the video, it was like, when you're doing work that you love, you generate so much energy that it literally bubbles up and it spills out of you into what you're doing, into the people that you're around. And that's why people actually want you around, because of the energy, which is why it's super important to know when something is aligned and not. And so that's this whole theory of human design. And once I understood how it helped me understand me, I was like, okay, maybe like, does everyone feel this way?
Right.
So then I pull up my daughter's chart, I pull up my partner's chart, and everything that I felt like it was describing me to a T, it was describing them to a T. And I was like, hang on now.
Okay, what you say?
Here. These are cheat codes. What is this? And so in doing, my own personal, like diving into me, diving into them, I was like, there's no way. Like, I don't know how this helps business just yet, but there's no way that I cannot. Like, all I want to do is learn more about what this is and how it can help. And so as entrepreneurs, right, when we get lit up about something, we're like, all right, time to
full speed ahead.
How can I start incorporating this? And now it's one of those things where I used to be so scared to niche down in the program to like business owners and things like that. And, I thought, I would exclude people. And now it's one of those things where it's like, my niche is so me that it's like the solutions and things, the ways that I want to help the business owners is so specific that it's like, oh, this actually, right? All of the things that like when you're out of alignment in programs and
yes,
why isn't this working?
Yes.
And then it clicks because you have that clarity and you're like,
I'm talking about a hard click at that. Like,
yeah. So that's how we got here. Business and brand strategy with spirituality.
Me tell you something. I done had goosebumps probably for the last 4 minutes that you've been talking, sis. Like, because that's just so powerful to me, right? I felt that so much in my soul because, like you said, and there's so much to unpack with that, right? But let's talk about the fact that at first you didn't even know how it was going to be used on the entrepreneurial level. And it takes me back to what I talk about often about us having to really discover who we are personally first, because a lot of times we try to we try to skip that. We try to, even as you said, you've been an entrepreneur for years, but even though you were, designing logos and stuff, like that wasn't fulfilling you, because if it was, you'd still be doing it. You know what I'm saying? So like you had to go on that personal journey first. And let me just say, I'm super proud of you and commend you so much, because a lot of times we are scared to do those things, and especially, with your mental health history and things like that, sis, you are so dope. Like, I so appreciate you just being transparent and sharing your story with us. Okay. So I definitely wanted to make sure that I told you that. But also the fact that you took the steps, because I think sometimes, and I want you to go into more about the unique blueprint, from the personal standpoint, but also from the entrepreneurial standpoint. And I think I touched on it a little bit, but I would love for you to dig in a little deeper. Really, why should we really discover what our unique blueprint is? What's the benefits behind that?
I love that question. And I feel like it took us a minute to schedule this, and the universe gives us reasons for why
And
that
do,
is.
and do.
So I'll start professionally because we're already there. So professionally, it helps to understand your blueprint, because once you understand your strengths, your gifts, your purpose, like your incarnation cross, and then human design even tells you like what you're here to speak to, like whatever's in your Mercury, what are you here to communicate to people, both unconsciously and consciously. It tells you the type of people that you're designed to be around, like who's designed to be in your network, and who are you designed to see? Who are you designed to nourish with your solutions? And to that point, your chart, especially if you're living in alignment, holds the information of how to language what it is that you help people with based on you. So
Yeah,
that's professionally how it
yeah,
helps.
that part.
Personally, personally, this is something that I'm seeing, and I'm glad that I'm getting a chance to speak here with you about it. My partner and I have been together for 10 years. And a lot of that's off and on. We struggled with infidelity in our relationship. And so he struggled with anxiety and depression heavily for that time. And as of recent years, I've heard him talk a lot about, just not having the want to be here, not having the passion, not having the drive. And we all have our conditioning from our family, friends, society, etc. But his really was such that it, especially, right, and I'm here with you,
Yes.
especially being a Black man in America.
Man, say it, sis. Talk about it, because go ahead.
So, all of the conditioning that comes with that, and it just kind of really, it beat it out of him. And last Thursday, he was diagnosed with cancer. And in human design, I talk so much, especially since I've been diving into quantum human design, about how when we are living out of alignment, each of our energy centers is associated with a different part of our body. When we are living out of alignment, when we aren't living who we're designed to be, our bodies will let us know, either through dis-ease, through pain, through emotional, what have you, like it will let us know. And if we continue to ignore it, it will continue to try to get our attention.
Yes. That is
It sucks that the circumstances are this way, but it was a silver lining to hear him actually talk about, I actually do want to fight. And to hear him talk about how his inner critic, the inner critic didn't quit just because he got cancer. And hearing him talk about how he is actively choosing, like what I was trying to beat into him, but like he's choosing to do the things that he should have been doing, but the pain and the diagnosis is now making it clear to him, like, you have to do something different. We don't think that there's anything that we can do to change. And so it takes a major disruptor in order for, us to see, like, to wake up. And that's one of my gates, is the purposeful fighter. And it's in my driving force.
Yeah.
And this is one of those things that really ignited it in me, because it's one of those things of, like, I was talking about it professionally. And of course, well-being is important for an entrepreneur, for a professional. But like on a deeper level, it's literally life or death, us living in alignment.
Yeah. and I've come to the realization that everybody doesn't want to understand on a deeper level, right? Everybody doesn't want to really be spiritually aligned, and I can't associate with those. And not saying anything negative, anything bad, but I'm not affiliating myself with anyone that does not want to have the desire and the drive. Now, when it comes to domestic relationships, obviously there's a difference there. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to like business relationships, friendships, partnerships, potential collaboration efforts, yeah, I'm just not. I pay attention to people's conversation. I pay attention to their energy, their space, their environments, what they're around, what they're doing. And that tells you, it really does tell you. Now, I know people will be like, oh, you can't judge. Yeah, I can judge. And I'm unapologetic in my words. Everybody should know that by now. Okay. I'm very unapologetic in what I speak and how I speak, because I fought to get to this level. I fought to step into my higher being. And what that looks like for me is being unapologetic in who I'm around and who I'm associating with. And yes, I'm judging, because I have to judge to make sure that I stay in alignment with me. I think it was meant for you to come and record with me now, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I think it was just meant for us to really vibe out and have these conversations today. So I'm just glad that we're able to have the conversations, but I also am glad that you have that strength to be able to, for one, be supportive, because sometimes we support empty. And I don't get that from you. I get that you are full of that support that your partner needs, but also that those that are wanting to be in their higher self need as well. You know what I'm saying? I think that you are just the epitome of that. And I am super grateful, that you're stepping into your purposes and walking in it unapologetically, just like me, baby, because it's just that. So
we have to. We have to. Yeah.
We do. We do. Now you've shared so much, normally with the Woman's Hustle, I ask about the thrills and the spills, but let me tell y'all, I feel like she's really already told us her thrills and her spills. And like, if that ain't motivation for you to say, you know what, I can do this, right? She has her partner that is going through, but also she still, because let me be clear, even though you have a diagnosis, and I do advocate for mental health, I love how you normalize that conversation. And we have to make sure that we do that, So I feel like it's all a part of your journey, all a part of your journey. I'm talking about the unique blueprint, how it's helping you achieve your business success. And I really want you to talk a little bit more about, just how you transforming and how you switching over to step into your purpose unapologetically, how that has benefited you. I mean, you could talk about it financially, you could talk about it spiritually, however you want to talk about, but I just want you to be a motivating factor to these listeners, because I feel like you are just that.
Oh, I received that. Thank you. So I would say the biggest transitions have been letting go of the things that I thought I had to do. I have a lot of openness in the top part of my chart. And so what happens is we take in a lot of inspiration. We take in a lot of ideas. We take in a lot of pressure from our outside environment to think and to plan and to be certain and, figure out the how and all of that stuff. Like we really, as many sayings as there are about, us making plans and God laughing and the universe, rolling around on the floor laughing, like as many jokes as we might have, we still believe that we have this element of control. And so we plan out the how. We will stress and we will exert a lot of effort and energy on the how and be attached to that outcome. Like whatever it is, like we don't release it and be like, okay, we planned it. This is what I've adapted into. Like I'll plan it because I'm like, okay, I want to see how, because I'm a systems person. So I'm like, I need to set up, like if I'm picturing a customer journey, I need to know, and kind of envision, but then I release it and whatever it grows from. And so one of the biggest things has been releasing the how, making your desires known, creating goals, setting plans to reach those goals, but also acknowledging that there's this beauty that happens when you release attachment to whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And this has happened in so many ways because, as business owners, especially, we're like, well, our income has to cut, like our abundance when we're thinking about it financially has to come from clients.
Yeah.
So we have to be out there grinding and hustling and doing the things to make ourselves known so that clients can come. And that's
Right.
true. But also, money comes in unexpected ways. That's one of my affirmations.
Man.
Financial, right? It comes to me in expected and unexpected ways. And this was recently true. My grandfather passed away 2019, I believe it was. And it was old age. It was no crazy story there. He was 94. He lived a very long life.
Got you.
But they didn't pay out his insurance policy. And so about a month ago, I get this random phone call from AARP, New York Life. And they're like, hey, we've got this policy that needs to be paid out. And not only was the policy paid out, but because it took so long, there was actually interest that had occurred that they had to pay out as well. So it's really like, yes, make the plans, do the things, get yourself out there, make how you help and your why of how you help, not just how you help, right? So many people are doing that. They're like, and they're like, why are people
go beyond, folks?
Right? Why are you doing it? Why do I care? Why should I understand that you want to help me? Because we've been conditioned that, we have to compete to get ahead. We have to, there's, an alternative, like an intuitive motive. So people need to understand your why. So do those things, but also just relax into the flow. So many of us are looking, right? So many of us are looking for and planning for the flow versus just be in flow.
Just being. Oh my God. Just being. Listen, I can't stress that enough. I have to, one of my quotes that I use is, and this is actually what has helped me, is I reconditioned the how to elevate my why. And I walked that, because how I used to do things was toxic, negative, restrictive, outdated, but my why now is to help others, same cycle, because it's a cycle. That's what we've been given. I love that you use the word program, condition, because that's exactly what it is. You owe it to yourself to get out of those old conditioning ways and step into what your higher self is supposed to be, and that has really helped me as a business owner. I was fired in 2020. I was like, what am I doing? I was not financially set to be a full-time entrepreneur. Was not. And didn't get set. You know what I'm saying? But because I have let go, in your words, I've really been able to step into it and stay here and elevate and pivot from that. So I think that that's super important that people understand the uncertainty is going to be there, but you still have to let the flow go, let it keep prospering and let it keep going, with that. And I do want to touch a little bit on about support, because one of the number one things that my clients talk about is the lack of support that they have when they're ready to begin their entrepreneur journey or step into it. How has that been for you, shifting into your unapologetic self?
Ooh, so I have experience on both sides, because the first business that I started and grew, I didn't have a coach. I didn't have like a score mentor. I didn't
Yeah.
have any of that.
Right.
It was just, I hopped in, I networked. I guess I wouldn't call him a mentor, but I made a smart and dumb move when I started that business because I dated someone who was in the industry,
Okay.
and then they kind of took me under their wing, and then of
Yeah.
course when we broke up, it bit me in the butt. But so that one, I grew, and once we separated, I really had to pave my own way to keep things going, but I still had the support of my network. So support is important. Then of course, when I made the pivot, I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. And then it was like, okay, well, maybe, right, what got you here won't get you there. So maybe it's time to, consult some folks who have done this a few times, join the program. And even in that, like, yes, it was supportive having the coach there. That particular program, I wouldn't recommend.
Right.
But it was
Yeah.
cool
No, I
to
get it.
have. You have to get the right coach. You have to get someone who's not just going to teach you what someone taught them. You have to get a coach who's going to dive deep into you. And that's one of the reasons why I love getting to be that person. Like, it excites me to dive into people. So
Yeah.
that worked. And then I still had, other, because, I wasn't the only one who wasn't hitting 6 and 7 figures. So then I had the support of the people who
That you
were,
was it. Hey, come on. Talk about that
you
circle back
know,
around. I love it. I love it. I love it.
you know,
Yeah.
and now in this beautiful phase of discovering my human design, like last year, I had a life coach. I had someone who was working with me to help me dive deeper into my human design. Because even though I'm a one line and I was researching a lot, I was consuming a lot of information, the stories that we tell ourselves hold us back from actually believing that what we're reading and what we know to be true from science is like,
Yes.
nah, maybe that's not you, because because this sounds real
Baby.
good on paper right here, but you. So and now I'm in this place of I'm really challenging myself in 2025 to rely on community, rely on the people who are in the experiment with me. Because what I realized is that, we, at the end of the day, sometimes we have to try and be our own coaches. You kind of got to know, you gotta
Yeah,
have a
you
framework
do.
and a plan to follow.
Absolutely.
But sometimes you have to be your own coach, because one of the things that I realized was I was taking in so much outside noise. I was taking in so much should and need to and have to and so much pressure to do that, honestly, one of the spills I was going to share was before I made this most recent pivot to really take and open up more spaciousness. I was at a point where I was like, I have two options. I can either do all this stuff that they tell me to do and not make money and be frustrated, or I can do what actually excites me and what I'm designed to be doing. Like, I'm gonna just try, right? It's called an experiment because it's different than anything that we've been taught. And I have to say, since doing the experiment, I am less stressed. I am more
Oh,
fulfilled.
talk about it. Talk about it. And listen, I think that's so dope. Like, and you just really have inspired someone to say, you know what? I was questioning if this is for me, but I also want people to understand the importance of seeking support. The support may not be those close to you guys. Like, y'all probably hear me say this a million times, but this a million and one. It's okay to seek out coaches, consultants, any type of outside resource to help you with the process. They're not there to do it for you. They're not there. And I love that you tailor, a client's journey, because I do that as well. It is not a one size fit all, as you said in the beginning. It really has to be tailor made to your specific journey. And we have to be open minded to receive that. Because if you go in closed minded saying, oh, they're not going to be able to help me, guess what? They're not going to be able to help you. It's just
Right?
that simple.
Henry Ford said it
So for
best.
those that, have the vision, for those that maybe have started and might be stuck, for those that are at a standstill and are ready to pivot, it's time to go and say, you know what, I may need an outside resource to help me get there, to help me tailor make my elevating journey. You know, I want you to end this with words of motivation, tips, maybe a time management skill that you would love to share with the listeners, just something to help them, be better at themselves in this moment.
For sure. So the parting words are: the limit does not exist,
Mm.
but fear will make you believe that it does. So I just want to let that ring true.
Come on.
And then in terms of the time management, it's interesting. I'm actually doing a masterclass about this in my community tonight. So
I
for
love
time
it.
management,
I love it.
especially for our lady listeners, yes, women's hustle.
Yes.
Work
One
with
more.
your cycles. Work with your cycles. we we know the menstrual and we know all the stuff that comes with PMS, but there are unique personalities, unique productivity things, unique nutrition things that each phase needs. And so when you really are able to work with it, it gives you that grace. Like, one of the reasons why I was able to manage my time and get him to appointments was because we found this news out during my luteal phase, right before I was about to have my period. And so I had made the decision as a business owner that I'm my best, I'm my most extroverted,
Yes.
based on science, of course, too, during the follicular and the ovulation phase. So it's during those times that I'm really out there. I'm networking, I'm doing podcasts, I'm doing things. But during the luteal and the menstrual, I keep things light because that's really a time for reflection. It's really a time for admin things, for repetitive tasks that you can knock out. You can have easy wins and have those productive boosts. And so I would say for time management, I would start with, right, everything that I recommend starts with you understanding you better. So
And I'm gonna tell y'all right now, her details are going to be in the podcast notes. I would love for you guys to check out her website, and actually get your chart and all of that stuff. Like, I'm gonna make sure all of that information is there for you guys to click on and, take advantage of that thing, because I think it's totally interesting. I'm probably gonna do one myself just because I want to see. You just sparked my curiosity. Okay? Let them know where they can find you at, Diamond.
absolutely. My website is diamonddripconsulting.com, and I can be found on all social media except X with Coach Diamond Drip.
Listen, I'm telling you, I so appreciate your energy today. I so appreciate your vibe, just your insight. Everything that you shared today was just amazing. This is why I do what I do. So I thank you so, so much. Listen, guys, again, before we head out, if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you have done it by now, baby, because as you can see, we are raw, uncut, transparent, vulnerable, actionable, strategic. We are doing all of that here at the Woman's Hustle. So I want you to make sure, share this, give some feedback. Make sure you have commented. Let me know what you thought of the episode. If you are interested in becoming a guest on the Woman's Hustle, the link to schedule an inquiry chat will also be in the podcast notes. All right. If you are interested in learning more about who you are, if you are interested in learning more about how upgraded mindsets can help you on your journey, whether on a personal transformation, entrepreneurial shift, all of that good stuff, do not hesitate to reach out. All right. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Stay empowered, baby.